Bruce Wayne is surprised at Jim Gordon's words, but the new Batman knows that Wayne was always connected with the original Dark Knight. Bruce tries to brush this off, but Gordon insists that he show Bruce one of the seeds that were used earlier to kill criminals. But Wayne says he isn't that person anymore. He's doing good work here at the Recreation Center, a place for wayward children set up years ago by Lucius Fox. When Gordon still tries to push for some help, they are interrupted by art teacher Miss Madison. She invites Jim to lunch with them, but he politely refuses, leaving the seed with Bruce Wayne. Outside, they are covertly observed by Clark Kent and Alfred Pennyworth. Superman says he can hardly believe what he is seeing, and declares that the man in that building is not Bruce Wayne. But Alfred corrects Clark, saying that if anything, this man is the only true Bruce to ever walk the earth. Alfred says he will explain what happened down in that cave with the Joker. It took 3 weeks to dig Bruce out, and by then, Alfred knew. The man he raised was gone. Julia had him in a body bag even, and suddenly, he came back to life. It seems that the Dionysium healed Bruce, but the former Batman experienced extensive damage to his brain. The substance replaced the dead areas of his brain with new tissue, and as a result, he is still Bruce, but with no memories or history of his time as Batman. Alfred did tell Wayne about his life story, but before he could get to the part about becoming a bat, Bruce had the butler stop. Wayne could already tell that his old self was gone. He knows that he loved his parents, but doesn't feel their loss. He may not be the man he once was, but he still wants to help. Bruce's mother worked in schools, while his father was a doctor. That feels right, and Bruce wanted to help people face to face. So he got a job at a rec center and established a connection with a girlfriend from his youth, a woman named Julie Madison. The city of Gotham never gives anything back, but on that day, it gave Bruce a place and a purpose, and Alfred couldn't be happier for him. Superman still isn't satisfied by this, and says that they must tell him about his life as Batman. So the butler pulls out a ring made from kryptonite. He tells Clark that Bruce has no knowledge of his combat skills or ability as a detective. Every bit of his training and experience is gone. It's a brand new brain, and all the old memories are forever lost. Asking Bruce to be Batman now is like Alfred asking Clark to fly while in the presence of this kryptonite. And while Superman might think that Batman can just relearn what he has lost, the loyal butler reminds Clark that Batman was born out of the screams of a young boy in a dark alley. He gets his strength from that moment, and without it, he can never be Batman. To cement this point, Alfred takes Clark to a device that Batman was working on before he died. It was designed to keep his legacy alive through cloning. Again and again, Batman would have risen under the care and guidance of an older Bruce Wayne. This device was never completed, but if it were, it would mean generations of suffering and an endless, undying war for justice. But Batman wasn't meant to live forever. The cycle has been broken before it could even start. Batman died, and Bruce Wayne came back. That man Clark saw is the person that Alfred, Superman, and everyone else could never save. His restoration is a miracle, and the butler begs Clark to let him rest, and let someone else suffer for this cursed city. Elsewhere, Jim Gordon has begun a mission that was not authorized by the Powers Company. As such, he and Julia are forced to avoid using any of Batman's new tech, and instead rely just on the suit. She warns him that like this, it's little more than a costume, but Jim insists that they need to learn more about this mysterious Mr. Blue. Batman infiltrates a facility that smuggles contraband through fish eggs on behalf of a gang called the Devil Pigs. Gordon finds evidence of Mr. Bloom having been here, but he is suddenly attacked by the gang. Batman manages to avoid their attacks and knocks most of them out with batarangs, but a shark tank is destroyed in the process. As a result, many of the sharks and gangsters are killed, but the leader of the gang survives and activates a trapdoor. Jim falls into a furnace, and Julia panics, as the suit cannot possibly survive that level of extreme heat. But before she can do anything, her face is slammed against a car door. Over at the rec center, Bruce looks over Duke's file with Miss Madison, and comments that the boy still has it in for him. Julie says that he and Duke have a history, and it must be difficult for the boy to see his mentor so heavily changed. While Bruce still feels uneasy, Miss Madison comforts her lover, and the couple go home together. while Duke sneaks into the office and steals the seat. In a dark warehouse, the Penguin is having a meeting with Mr. Bloom. The mysterious new villain insists that the Penguin is not a part of this story and refuses to share a seed with him. But the thing is, Cobblepot doesn't care for weeds. So he has his men shoot Mr. Bloom in the head and burn his corpse. As they move to leave, all 4 of his henchmen are suddenly killed, and the Penguin is impaled.
Funny thing about weeds, Mr. Cobblepot. We're not so easy to kill, and we grow so very fast.
Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is my recap and review of Batman number 43. Alright, sports fans, so here we are with the next Batman title, and boy am I feeling very... Don't get me wrong, the art is pretty fantastic, and we got some amazing moments thanks to Scott Snyder's writing and pacing, but am I the only one who's already starting to get a little bored with this whole Jim Gordon thing? I'm not even sure what it is exactly. I think for one thing, this isn't exactly the most original of an idea. The whole concept of a superhero working for the government, only to be forced to work outside of the law for the greater good, that whole thing reminds me a lot of the Agent Venom story, even if it's being done in a different way and has been done in a lot of other ways before. Plus, this whole Jim Gordon thing doesn't feel like it's offering all that much that really interests me. Mr. Bloom looks cool, but he kind of feels pretty generic so far, while the new Batman is already starting to come across as a bit... boring? For a comic that's all about a new Batman and features a fantastic bit of action concerning a gunfight involving mutant sharks being flung at people, it's a really bad sign that the most interesting part of this comic is Bruce Wayne. Luckily, all that stuff with Bruce kind of makes this comic worth reading. I didn't expect this at all. His memories are so gone and so altered that I'm actually not sure if they're going to bring him back as Batman. Now, don't mistake this for an assumption that Jim Gordon is going to permanently be the new Batman. That's not going to happen in the long term. I just don't believe that. But I'm starting to think they didn't just introduce that cloning machine for no reason. See, this comic has me thinking that down the road, somebody, maybe Clark, or maybe Julia Pennyworth, or perhaps somebody entirely unexpected, is going to finish that cloning machine. They're going to make a new Bruce Wayne, one ready and willing to take up the cowl once more. One with his memories, one that remembers the Crime Alley incident, and everything is going to build up to this new-ish Batman who's still Bruce Wayne. Now, that's my theory, and I kind of like the idea. A brand new and cloned Batman could be very cool, and let the creative teams over at DC start fresh, while also keeping every bit of Batman that's happened so far still in continuity. That's brilliant! I really hope they go for this. And with the old Bruce Wayne lacking any of his memories as Batman, we'd essentially have one new Batman, figuring out his place in the world and learning how to operate effectively. One Bruce Wayne, one Batman. And technically another Bruce Wayne with no memories that we don't have to worry about. It could be a great change of pace and a significant development in Batman mythology, but right now it's just a little wild theory of mine. I'd like for it to be true, but I don't have any inside information or anything, so this is just me guessing. I feel like they're gonna back down from this idea though. That they're gonna prefer to just give the old Batman his memories back, and honestly that's kind of boring and makes this whole thing pointless. This would have a point. This would be a big change for Batman and one that would matter and last. So, as for the comic itself, well, I still think I recommend it. This isn't a good sign for Jim Gordon, as I find myself already paying more attention to Bruce Wayne, but it is still a good comic and worth reading if you are a Batman fan. So please feel free to comment and let me know if you think my little idea has any merit, and whether or not this is something you'd actually like to see. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.